And did it cut off the first time?
It did.
Oh.
How about for you?
Well, I was walking down as you were calling, so I may have just mistimed it.
Oh, okay. How's it going?
Overall good, I think. Maybe.
Good. What's this?
Well, a couple of days ago, yesterday, actually, my hamstring started giving me a little bit of a annoyance, and I don't know for sure what it is, and so that's the whole maybe. Like, it's not bad, but it's all I've done since training the intercostals is rowing. Like, I think it's just tired and slightly overworked. I don't think that's anything big.
Okay. Gotcha.
But that's the maybe. Because, like, this morning, it was feeling better. I decided to do a real light row this afternoon just to kind of see, and then I felt it again. And so it's, all right, you know what? My body is telling me I need to take a couple of days and just, stop.
Yeah.
So I guess for a change, I will listen to my body telling me I need a rest day.
Nice. Well, that's good. It's good something.
Yeah. I mean, it works. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of in that routine at the moment anyway, where if I'm not mixing it up as far as activity goes, then I really only need to be exercising 3 days a week anyway. Like, it's not, I don't know. It's just, I've gotten in a routine of exercising constantly, and it's tough to break that.
Yeah, I understand that. So what else has been going on?
Not much of anything, really. It's been hectic just from our schedule in general. We had 3 soccer matches over the weekend.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
And then
one each day?
Yeah, one Friday evening, one Saturday, one Sunday, and then practice yesterday, and then practice tomorrow. So it's like, that's just where my head's been for the most part, and then trying to get everything done. I've got to enjoy my outdoor space for a couple of days. It's great.
That's awesome. And the weather's fan-fucking-tastic this week.
Yeah, for the most part. But either way, like I'm sure you at some point you saw the picture of the pergola post installed, but we finally have that space, like, it's set other than whatever we decide to add to it over time. So I added screens, like retractable pull-down screens on the further ends, the smaller, the 10-foot ends. So the 2 sides, if you're looking at it head-on. And they act as windbreaks or shades, right? Like, it's just a screen. It's not like it's anything overly fancy, but makes a huge difference. And so I've been able to actually sit out there and enjoy the day regardless of time of day. And that's been great. Like, I didn't realize how much I was fighting with the umbrella that we were trying to use for shade. And it's not that it was bad. It was fine. It's just I didn't realize how much I was messing with it.
Yeah.
Until I didn't have to. So
yeah, that's like I remember. It's like, I gotta say that's like it reminds me of the first time. Oh yeah, the first time this was before AirPods, but the first time I bought some Bluetooth headphones to use in the gym, and I remember the first time I used those, and I was like, oh, and it's just like the first time to not have not be tethered to my phone was just a night and day difference. It surprised me.
It's really like that. I do remember the first Bluetooth earpieces I had were the JBL wraparound ones.
Yeah.
And
you didn't have a Jawbone?
No, I never. The only thing I had from Jawbone was the dead fitness tracker thing.
Oh, okay.
The Up. That's what it was. The Jawbone Up. I could not remember the name of it for a bit.
Back before the...
and then it was the Nike Fuel Band.
Distillation of... Oh, I had the Nike Fuel Band. We all had the Nike Fuel Band at one point. Do you remember like everybody had the Nike Fuel Band in the store?
Yep.
Yeah. I sold mine on eBay sometime.
I think mine's probably in a box somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been chunked out with the yard sale stuff at this point, actually. So I everybody has that random box of cables, right? Like, I sold mine at a yard sale, but I still have 3 random boxes of cables. So it's not like I really got rid of anything. It's just I slimmed down my random boxes of cables.
You just have fewer boxes of cables.
Yeah.
What, you have any good cables?
Do I have what?
Do you have any good cables?
I have plenty of good cables. What are you talking about?
All right. Any cool cables?
All of my cables are good.
Any noteworthy cables?
Not really. I mean, I'm sure I do, but I don't think any of them are noteworthy. I do still have, so I made sure, even when I put a number of different cables out for sale, the whole random box of stuff, I still have everything from coax to S-video to composite to component. Like, I have at least one of every version of a audio-video signaling cable, just in case.
I have in my hand right now, it's not a cable, it's an adapter, but it is an Apple USB modem.
That's not something I have for sure.
It is very clearly 2 pins for an RJ11.
I do remember those adapters. The only adapters I have similar, like along those veins, are the USB to Ethernet adapters.
I don't think I have a USB to Ethernet. I have a Thunderbolt 2 to Ethernet adapter. I also have a Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 3 adapter, and I've connected them together. I haven't tested that out yet, but I would need a double adapter for that. Because they never made a Thunderbolt. They never made a USB connector for the Ethernet adapter. They let Belkin do it. Belkin or Griffin, something like that. And I can't remember what it is, but it is I have just a few, like, stuff that I just picked up. It was, I can't remember how I got it.
There's honestly no telling. Like, with the circles that we have been in general, I can't tell you how many adapters I have that I do not know for sure where they came from.
Yeah. I have a Thunderbolt cable, Thunderbolt 2.
I have one of those.
I've got a 6-pin to 6-pin FireWire cable.
Yep, I've got one of those.
Both of these are Apple branded.
I do not know for sure which brands I have. That would be a potentially differentiating factor.
I have the mini VGA adapters. I have like mini VGA to VGA, mini VGA to S-video. Oh, the one that I thought was, I have an iPod video, 5th gen iPod video. I've upgraded it. It's got 64 gigabyte SD card inside instead of a hard drive. And I was surprised by I think I told you that, but I was surprised by how much lighter it is.
Yeah, you told me about it.
But I also have the composite video cable that plugs into the headphone jack, so you can plug it into a TV and play video and show pictures. I was like, huh.
I actually have one of those that has S-video attached to it, too.
Oh.
Somewhere. It came with a camcorder. It was, a little bit different, but it's the same premise on connector style.
I bought the Apple one. I have the Apple one from, I think I bought it in 2005 or 6. I just kept it. I remember I might have even asked for it for Christmas one year. But I remember I watched a movie that way, and I used to show people pictures. Like, I'd have like picture, like maybe the last year's worth of, I'd have some number of pictures, and then I remember being at my ex's parents' house and showing them a bunch of pictures on the TV by plugging in my iPod to the composite connection.
I don't know if I ever actually did that with my iPod. I had the cables.
I only did it once or twice.
I know I had the cables to do so, but I don't remember if I ever actually used them.
I know I used it once in a hotel to watch a movie.
Well, I did go iPad to whatever the screen in the Jeep was,
the one in your car.
At one point.
Yeah.
And I've got all those cables boxed somewhere. I'm glad that that's no longer necessary. We can just hand Jacob an iPad and let him watch whatever he wants to watch. But
yeah,
that was fun to try to piece together which adapters I needed to make it work.
It's pretty excellent.
We probably ought to actually record a show real quick.
Yeah. Before it gets late.
Or before it gets much later.
Yeah.
I'm going to derail us before we even start a show. I have a drone that I don't use anymore at all. I don't know that it fits all of the requirements for commercial use anymore, which of course you wouldn't have any need for anyway. Would you be interested in playing around with a Mavic Air?
Oh, yes.
I will set it aside. I will find all the pieces and set it aside. Because I'd never touch it anymore. There's no reason for me to hold on to it. But it's still registered to me for commercial operations. So just make sure you fly it under the recreational flyer guidelines.
I will look those up and do that.
The main thing is, honestly, if it lets you take off and fly, you're fine. And it's for personal use and not selling it to somebody. Those are the two big things.
Yeah.
So,
what would you say the first thing was?
The first thing is if it actually lets you take off and fly, then you're fine. Like the way DJI does all of their software, if you're in a restricted zone, then it won't let you take off anyway. Until you get approval, and the approval is done
through them.
There's a couple of different steps. Well, it's not.
Or there's something with the software communicates to somewhere to be able to do that.
Well, there's more of an authentication method where multiple steps are involved, so you're saying yes, I'm doing this thing, and you're not going to do that anyway. So like you'd be fine for any use case you have, but I need to pull that together and get it out of the way because I don't even know if the batteries have been charged in the past year, much less recently.
I have assembled a box of things that I need to bring to you.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to have for you anymore, actually.
It'll be like Christmas. It'll be like Christmas.
It'll be great.
Oh, I do. I also have some things I want to buy from you. And I made sure to write down the prices that we had initially talked about.
That's so good, because I'm not going to remember.
Yes, because I know you're not. I knew you weren't going to remember. And I was like, we said, hey, and you're like, all right, cool. So I wrote those down.
I will say you might want to send me the list of what all I'm supposed to have for you, just so I make sure I have it all together. Because at this point, it could be in one of 3 different rooms.
It's just those 2 mesh points and.
That's it. The wall rack
and the cabinet.
Yeah,
and the wall rack.
Okay, I was thinking there was supposed to be more. So yeah, I know where all that is. That's all easily grabbable because I kept it set aside specifically to make sure I got it to you.
Cool.
Do we want to talk about the topic for the show or push it a little bit further?
I think it's a good topic.
Well, the reason I ask is because I don't know. I still haven't figured out which way I want to look at it. Like for anybody that's jumping in, last week we mentioned a reference back to episode 130 with the generational turnings and talking about how, or I made a comment about how it was difficult being a strong person in a weak person's time, I think is how I phrased it.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that's a very short-sighted way of looking at it as well. I think in every turning there are people who are out of place that fit better in other turnings. It's not necessarily about a strong person versus a weak person. It's just someone being out of place for the time that they're in. But when I thought about that, if you think about the transition from one turning to another, it requires those people as well. So it kind of left me in a limbo state of not really knowing how I wanted to address it. I'm more than happy to try to figure out how I want to think about it and talk about it as we go, but I don't have a good starting point as a result.
I see. If you want to think about it more, I'm okay, making this a teaser at this point.
Yeah, I'm good with either one. If you had any very specific thought that you wanted to lead with, I would say let's go ahead and delve into it. Otherwise, let's push it another week.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. I don't have anything like either off the top or prepared. So.
All right, so we'll push it another week, and instead we can go back to the cable and adapter conversation or anything else, really, because I have nothing else prepared.
Yeah, well, so
actually,
and
go ahead. Go ahead with where you were going. I was going to say I have something I might want to throw out there, but I want to hear what you have first.
Well, I was going to say, since we were talking about old cables, I do have an affinity for retro computing, and I have come to the conclusion of I am not going to be a retro computing kind of person. I will enjoy that as a medium that I watch, but I am not going to participate in collecting any physical or any more physical things. All the cable, the majority of the cables I described to you, they were things that I bought when they were current. It was current technology, so like the FireWire, the Thunderbolt, all of those. The modem was something I grabbed from in maybe like 2001 that somebody was going to throw away, and I was like, and I was using dial-up at the time, so I'd never actually used that modem, but I was using dial-up at the time, and so I grabbed it just in case. So it, that modem was could have been used at the time, but it was it was the tail end of that. So I only have one retro computer, and I have decided I am not going to buy any. I'm not going, I will just pursue this hobby as a thing that I watch on TV because I do enjoy it. And I have I have several times stopped myself, but I do have one old computer, and that's a G4 iMac because they're so interesting, and it came with the Apple Pro speakers. And I've been starting to dig around on maybe trying to get those to work with a modern device because the sound quality is really good, and they are interesting speakers. And I know we've talked about them.
Yeah, they're just gorgeous. I still wish I had mine.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to play them though unless you had the iFire.
I had the iFire. I actually had all of that in a bundle that I got rid of at the same time.
Oh my goodness me! So I've been looking for iFires. They're hard to find. I've seen a few on eBay, but they're asking for anywhere between $400 and $700 just for the iFire.
Wow.
Yeah. So
and that was
I thought about
$99 brand new. I think maybe
probably,
$79.
That sounds about right. It was sub $100. And
the one saving grace I have in my defense is that I kept my Harman Kardon sound sticks that were
nice.
the clear Apple ones.
Yep. With the subwoofer.
Yeah. But I do miss the Apple Pro speakers. I loved those when I had them.
How do you? So I want to go on a short tangent here, but how do you orient the sound sticks?
You're gonna have to clarify the question for me.
Okay. So the sound stick.
You have a left and a right.
Right. And the base of the sound stick is a weighted circular base.
Right. And the sound stick can be.
It articulates on a hinge.
Right. Where it points anywhere from directly straight forward to angled up at whatever degree angle.
So I think you have 90 degrees of rotation on that hinge.
Maybe I have not checked the full range of rotation, but I'll go with that.
I don't know if the hinge actually will articulate that way, but there's nothing impeding it from. You can orient the sounds. I don't know why you would do this, but you can orient it so that the sound stick is laying. So to describe the sound stick for someone who's never seen it, it's I don't know. I cannot remember how many actual components are. I don't know if they were all tweeters or what.
Yeah, I'd have to go grab them, but I mean, there's at least 3.
Right. So I'm pulling up a picture so that I can describe them because I think it's important. So it's 4. So you have this clear tube, and there are 4 drivers inside the tube, and they're all linked to each other so that the audio signal is going to all of them. And the bass is basically a small donut shaped bass that is on the hinge. I'm doing a terrible job.
So, no, you're doing fine.
They still make the sound sticks.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
The sound sticks were big. They just were the Apple branded version of them was the only one that was this particular aesthetic appearance. The regular sound sticks were just the normal black plastic that you would expect. And those were common enough that they were sold Dell branded as well, I think. Well, I know Dell had a branded version of them that were basically identical, but they were a very common speaker, and they've iterated on them. And it's basically a 2.1 speaker setup for anybody who's familiar with the idea.
That nomenclature.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing overly extravagant. The reason that these really captured attention is because they sounded so phenomenal for what they were.
Yeah. For what you put on your desk, it's so good.
Right. And so if you think of any home theater setup that would be a 2.1 home theater setup, you could rival that with these sound sticks. They really were phenomenal speakers and subwoofer package setup for a computer. So I think the question you're asking me is just how I would position the speakers is what it comes down to.
Well, relative to the bass.
Well, relative to the bass doesn't matter.
Or, I mean, how do you have them articulating on the bass, I suppose?
Oh, when you say bass, you're not talking about the bass, the subwoofer. Sorry.
No, not talking about the subwoofer. I'm sorry,
Gotcha.
the bass.
Yes, okay.
You have this tube that has a rounded top and a small donut shape. That's just the whole of the tube, or the whole of the base. This donut shaped base is a little bit bigger than the base of the bottom of the tube could fit into the base. So it could go in So
the way I position any speaker setup is the same, whether it's like the Harman Kardon speakers or anything else. It's direct the speakers themselves toward the central seating position of the consumer. So if you think about home theater setup, same kind of thing. Like your surround and everything else is pointed toward wherever you're wanting people to sit to enjoy the consumption of media. I use just computer speakers the same way. I would turn them to face the chair if you're sitting at a desk and looking at a monitor, with the speaker to the left and the speaker to the right, so that it's pointing at the user, regardless of how it's articulated. Does that more or less answer the question?
Not at all, and I'm about to explain why, and we're about to get our explicit E.
All right.
So I'm not going to try to guess at this. You can answer the question. You'll be able to answer the question that I'm asking as soon as I say this. But what you described makes complete and total sense for the question that I asked. It is completely related to the topic of how do you position any sort of speaker. The orientation that I was trying, what I was going to try to ever so slightly allude to until I finally said it out loud was that the Harman Kardon speakers look like a dildo, and you can orient them relative to the bass with orient the speaker, the sound stick, on the bass so that it is completely vertical, and the bottom of the sound stick is inserted into the bass, and it looks like a dildo. The other orientation that I've seen is that you take the base of the sound stick and rotate it almost 180 degrees so that you can angle the sound stick, and the bass is completely behind it, and the bottom of the sound stick is floating in air, and it's only attached to the bass by the hinge. Yeah,
the orientation that I typically used would be like a 15-degree dildo. Like if you want to think about it on those terms.
Yeah. So, and then the other option is like the base of it is not inside. The donut base is completely behind it, and the stick is just sort of floating at whatever angle that you.
Yeah, that just seems like a really fucked up positioning. Like,
you can. I mean, you can. I think you can get it at a full 90 degrees there as well.
No, I get it. To an extent, but it's. If you're positioning it in a way where that's your orientation, you're not positioning it for optimal audio consumption.
But see, I liked doing that because it had the least amount of contact with the bass. Like there's no chance that you would get any vibration from the bass, or contact vibration from the stick and the bass.
I never once had that be a concern.
I'd never owned them, so I don't know, but I did orient them that way in the Apple Store.
Yeah, I never. So
could you on Friday? Could you pull out those sound sticks?
Yeah, they're easily accessible.
I kind of want to have this conversation again.
The only problem I have with my sound sticks in general is that the age is showing on one of the speakers where some of the plastic and adhesive is coming apart if you're not careful. But that's easily mitigated. They're 100% still usable. I had them set up with the G4 just to prove that they worked. And then I finally put the G4 on a shelf without all the extraneous stuff attached and moved the sound sticks into the closet for now, trying to figure out what I was going to do with them, which happened at the same time that I put a receiver and additional speakers down in the garage, or down in the basement. Like I shifted things around, which doesn't matter for pretty much anybody listening anyway. All that to say, they're still easily accessible. The the pedestal, the base was padded or coated with a rubberized substance. I don't remember ever having an issue with any kind of vibration, even with the one sound stick where the plastic casing is coming apart if you're not careful. Like even with that being an issue, turning it up, I don't recall there being any kind of issue with vibration that was detectable listening to music. Now I wouldn't say I tried too hard to create, multiple samples either, but I never encountered that being a problem. And so the general orientation I would use would be what you would think of as normal computer speaker orientation, where the bass is set, speakers are completely vertical, and you turn them toward the person and adjust however slightly on the hinge to reach the appropriate angle for the headspace to be where the audio waves hit. Which generally would be about a 15-degree angle.
I need to see this because I feel like that's I remember doing like an angle like that as well. So I kind of want to see the sound sticks again. I looked at the Harman Kardon sells their 4th generation of it, and they don't look as good. I mean, they are true to the original, but they did make some changes. So.
The one thing I'll say, the Studio Pro speakers were still better to me. Like the sound sticks were great. They weren't. There was nothing wrong about them from an audio quality perspective, and the subwoofer certainly added something. But my God, the Studio Pro speakers were so good that you didn't need the subwoofer to feel like it was a good quality reproduction.
And that's why I want to, and at this point, the internet knows that, and as time marches on, they're harder and harder to find, and more expensive. And I got lucky this week because I found somebody has a picture, and I've saved it. Somebody had a picture of an iFire, Griffin iFire, with the inside, like they have the inside. So you can see the top of the circuit board. And that, I started, I've been, kind of doing some looking around. there's a company in Texas called Texelec, and they specialize in making prototype IC boards for retro computing. And I was like, oh, I wonder if, like with this picture, if I can work with them and maybe make a board and maybe even make a have it powered by USB-C instead of FireWire. So I'm looking into that.
That's an intriguing thought. Like there are some homegrown DIY potential options there as well. There's a God, I don't remember the company name now. There's a company who has released for lack of better phrasing, I'm going to call it a CAD-based machine for lathing in general, but they have an adapter for like PCB printing. And that opens the door to that kind of possibility as well.
So if I sent you the picture, but it's a relatively simple board. I don't know, there's like
the funny thing is I bet it could be recreated without having to use as many components at this point.
I'm pretty sure. So, there's just a couple of capacitors. I don't know what those blacks, there's 5 black circular type components on there, and they look similar to capacitors, but I've never seen capacitors that look like, I don't know what all capacitors look like, but I recognize the 2 silver ones and the black one, but I don't know what these 5, there's 4 of them near the...
Yeah, I see which ones you're talking about.
The mini jack. So there's not a lot. I'm sure there's one of those chips is a DAC. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know what the other. One of them must be for power management. I don't know what the third one is, and there's like some resistors here and there, and it's not a complex board.
And without really knowing for sure what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's both of us right now.
the central chip between the 2 capacitors has to be the primary DAC. There's just nothing else that I could see that would be doing that work, and I would expect that the pronged chip, kind of northeast of that,
the one
or northwest of that. Sorry.
The one right next to the black capacitor.
Yeah. I would
That's
expect
probably
that
the
one,
FireWire power management.
That and firmware in general, because the smaller chip to the south of that, is probably going to be more your power management. Would be my guess. Again, guess, but like I don't see where where part of that is driven from. The way the chip kind of at the north end of that connects with the legs and being soldered.
Yeah.
That's indicative typically of a functional chip of some sort that controls some level of firmware or BIOS or something else. Like that's just how they were almost always connected.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I wonder if it is a FireWire controller.
Maybe.
And they piggyback the firmware onto that.
Could very well be.
And it makes sense that smaller one is the power management. And then to the right of it, just south of the what we think is the DAC, there's a blue, I think that's a chip or a resistor.
It gets pixelated to try to zoom. Yeah. I think it's more resistor based, just at a guess. Like I don't have any good reason for thinking that, but like it feels like that's a dip switch potentially.
So to the left of the what we think is a power management chip, and just south of the 3.5 millimeter audio jack, there are those 3 components, and those are definitely resistors.
Yes, for sure.
Those are the what is it? When people say resistors, that's what you think of.
Right. The one that you were talking about, I don't know if that's something printed on or if those are dip switches for making settings, but that would be what would lead me to think there's some level of resistance in play.
Yeah, they look. I think that's printed because that would be the tiniest dip switches. Because look relative to the
yeah, but
3.5.
I've seen some really small.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But I've seen this type of component on boards because the bottom, like, there's no legs on it. The bottom is just soldered to the two pads that's resting on. So I think the method for doing that is you put a bit of solder on each of those pads, and then you heat them, and then use forceps or tweezers or whatever to while that solder's still liquid, and just plop it down on there, because that's how you want to do things with IC components on IC boards. Just plop them on. I wonder, so looking at the enclosure for the iFire, the top to the left of the iFire, between the FireWire symbol and the 3.5 millimeter symbol, there is a really small squircle. I don't think it's an oval. Not quite a squircle either. I don't know what that shape is. The pill shape. Is that a light? Was there a light there?
Yes.
Okay. Was it just indicating power, or did it also indicate any sort of activity?
I do not remember well enough for sure. I remember there being two different colors, but I don't remember if it was just like boot up to use or if there was some indicator reason. Like I very vividly remember amber and green.
Yeah, because that goes with the Griffin aesthetic,
right? But I don't remember if it was just It may have just been indicative of power versus power plus connector. I don't know.
I would have expected steady on whenever it was connected to power, but then it makes me think, if that component directly behind the 3.5 millimeter jack that's kind of orange is the LED that lights up.
Oh, that's a good thought. That might be.
That's what I'm thinking. Well, this is the most fun I've had talking to someone about a integrated circuit board.
I really wish I still had
I haven't
mine
had this conversation that much. What?
I really wish I still had mine. And
yeah.
So it was such a simple device, and it made so much sense, and it would have made it so much easier for me to find a new pair of Apple Studio or Apple Pro speakers rather.
Theirs are expensive now too. I think the 700. I said the iFire was 700. I think the one that I saw that was $700 was also, they were including a pair of Apple Pro speakers. So,
for the record, just in case somebody listening wants to know what this would have actually costed back in the day, the Apple Pro speakers were $49, were they not?
Oh, I would have guessed like $149.
No, I don't think so. Like I know I bought mine for $50, but that could have been secondhand. So that's the reason I'm not sure. But they could have been $150.
I feel like that would have been Apple's pricing. So I'm going to get us some real time follow up. I'll make it happen.
That's fine. The iFire was an adapter that was used for any computer that did not have the specific connector for the Apple Pro speakers, which basically was a FireWire and audio to this plug, which gave you this single plug for the Apple Pro speakers, which was a combination of power and audio, and that was $100 at retail, we'll just say. So worst case scenario, you would have had $250 to invest in these speakers and this adapter for use on a non Apple Pro speaker device, and I can't see why anybody would be willing to pay more than that for them, even though they are great speakers.
So some real time follow up, and that is that the Apple Pro speakers were just north of $104. It was $104.05 when you adjust inflation in 2024 dollars. They were $59 in 2001.
All right, so I was
you,
close.
You were right.
I
you were
was
so
thinking
right.
49, 59 certainly in the ballpark.
Yeah, like I was. I presented it that way to try to make myself sound more right, but no, you're totally right about. So, there are tutorials on how to make the Apple Pro speakers work, but it involves cutting the jack off, and because I have the jack off, we definitely have the E rating.
Something changed with your audio, by the way.
Oh, is it better now?
It's almost like it defaulted to the built-in speaker.
Let me check. That would be weird.
Now
though.
It sounds good.
Okay.
For some reason or another, a moment ago, it just sounded like there was some distance between you and the mic that was abnormal.
Ah, that's weird.
But now it sounds good.
I couldn't find... Okay. I couldn't find anything on the original price of the iFire.
The iFire was either $99 or $149, but it really strongly is in my head at $99.
I feel like it was $79.
It could have been. Like, I could be overthinking how much it was, but I do not remember spending more than $150 for the iFire and Apple Pro speakers when I set them up. And again, I bought my Apple Pro speakers secondhand. Like, I did not buy them retail.
Oh, okay. Who'd you buy them from?
I don't even remember, actually. So, interestingly enough, when I started collecting some of the older Apple gear that I have, so the G4 Cube and the Quicksilver Power Mac, I was working for a little local computer repair shop in Columbus, Georgia, and that's also how I managed to get the Apple Pro speakers. It was just somebody who came in, because we would purchase used gear for resale as well. And Apple products tended to not be resellable very often. So
oh, wow.
It was easily, like, I only paid $150 for both the G4 Cube and the Quicksilver Power Mac when I bought them.
Wait, $150
for the pair?
Cube?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like anything.
What a fantastic.
I know. Anything Mac related, I kept an eye out for. There was I think there was an iMac that I bought. There was the teal all-in-one G3. Might have been $39. Like anything Apple related was so ridiculously low for our turnover for that shop that people just came in to unload it. It was almost like, you know what, I don't care if you give me anything for it. I just need to get it out of the way. And we leaned into that. And so I had plenty of options to get stuff where I ended up paying a premium for the store, but still like ridiculously low for market value. And so I could turn around and sell the Quicksilver non-functioning and make a profit for what I paid for the two of them. And it's insane to think about.
So do either of them work right now?
Oh, yeah. The G4 Cube works 100%. The Quicksilver, I think the video card finally died. Everything else is indicative of it still being functional, but I have not ordered a video card to swap to see if that's all it is.
Have you take a look at the capacitors and make sure they're okay, and the PRAM battery?
I mean, cursory glance. Like I haven't looked that close because honestly, the Quicksilver. The Quicksilver is a display piece. Like it sits over beside me. I can enjoy it. Honestly, the Cube is too. But the main reason I can make sure the Cube works is because it's one of the few that I've seen that the acrylic is still perfect for the casing, because normally it cracks.
Yeah, it does.
And I have no cracks at all in the acrylic for my Cube.
That's awesome.
And so I routinely inspect it and hook it up and check that it still functions because of how pristine a condition it's in.
I kind of wonder how many people. So I wonder how many people looked at the current and 2019 Mac Pro and think, oh yeah, they did the same thing as the trash can, and really the trash can did the G4 Cube disassembly. With the lifting of it, except for in reverse, because you lift out the core of the G4 Cube instead of the enclosure, or the exterior enclosure.
I think everything they did with the Power Mac lineup was just kind of strange, other than the fold tower. And it's not because I think there's anything wrong with it. It's because why would you make it more complicated than just this space? Like I don't get me wrong, I love it. I think the G4 Cube was way ahead of its time, and it's a phenomenal form factor. Just like I think the Trash Can Mac is a great form factor.
I love the Trash Can Mac, but they were doing what they could, or they made decisions at the time with the information that they had, and the market just didn't go in the direction of heavy GPU usage, because they were even working on different OS, low OS level subsystems to take advantage of the power of GPUs, and it just never panned out.
Well, I remember, so this is where I disagree with everything that seems to be publicized about it. Like, it's GPU usage has been a big thing. There's a reason that, like, if you look at Apple Silicon, there is an emphasis on GPU cores as well. The problem that they found was that they tried to shrink the form factor around a specific set of components, with expansion being external. And that's just not the way the market has gone, ever.
No, I agree that was a big mistake with the trash can. Like, it needed to come along with an expandable tower computer.
And so if you go back to like the Power Mac G4 and the case and the form factor, and where we are today with the new Power Mac and the case and the form factor, there's a direct relationship. It's internal expansion, because that's where the market has stayed. Like, to me, the problem was just that they didn't provide any specific hardware alternative that made sense with, like, the G4 Cube or the Trash Can Mac, Power Mac. Like, any attempt to address the form factor was not inclusive of a solution for expansion. That's the problem. I fully think that could have worked if Apple had also provided an example of expansion in that environment.
Right. You needed to so the Trash Can Mac, I don't know, I don't like calling it, the late 2013 Mac Pro it replaced a tower, an expandable tower, at least expandable for Apple. You could put 4 hard drives in there. You could put, I want to say 6 PCIe slots.
Well, I mean, for Apple, the fact that you could add a third-party PCI card and of any type was a big deal, which is back to where we are now.
Right. And so I'm kind of curious to see. I've heard some rumors about the addition, more M3, maybe more M3 chips. We might actually see something that goes into the Mac Pro that will only go into the Mac Pro. Have you heard any of these rumors?
No. I mean, so
they're
at a high level,
they're fairly scarce.
Absurdly, sort of, yes. Like, I don't want to say that I'm not at least aware of the rumors, but to say that I know anything really about them other than there are rumors to that effect would be misleading.
Well, initially when the M1, or even prior to the M1 being released, there was talk about, there was lots of talk. We knew that there was going to be a double. My apologies for if I'm getting the terms correct, and please, if you know the correct way of saying it, please don't hesitate to correct me. But we knew there was going to be I was going to say a double package, but a package with essentially two M1 Max with the interposer. And we got that with the Studio Pro. Is it the Studio Pro or just the Mac Studio?
Just the Studio. There's no Pro nomenclature on the Studio.
Yeah, Mac Studio. And then we were expecting the Mac Pro to have that, as well as something twice as big as that, as the Ultra. And you and I had both come to the conclusion that we need that to come out, so that they call it the Ultra Max. But then I've heard some people say it was just going to be. I've heard some rumors where it was going to be the Extreme, something Ultra Extreme or Ultra Max. I don't know. Anyway, if they didn't go with Ultra Max, that would have been a huge mistake. But then when that never surfaced, when that never came out, there were also, or prior to that never coming out, maybe. I don't know. Sometime around there were rumors about that was not going to be a thing. Like they couldn't do it for various reasons. Might have been incredibly cost prohibitive. Something like $10,000 for that package alone, and going into a computer that's already a niche, has a niche market. So, but recently I've heard a rumor here and there, not a lot, that maybe the M3 will have something like that. There will be an offering in the M3 lineup because something got figured out. I don't know.
Yeah, so what you're alluding to is something that I've kind of semi-heard, which is that either the M3 or M4 lineup has a version of the architecture that does not rely on having to have the bridge in between two disparate, maybe that's not the best way to phrase it, but two versions or two disparate SoCs. So if you think of the M3 Pro joined with another M3 Pro and how you join them, that bridge, basically that bridge has been figured out to not be required if you can do something to enable these two to coincide on the same general fabricated SoC. Like that's what you're getting at, and none of this is overly clear because I'm not a chip nerd, right? Like it's not not my thing.
Neither of us.
But I have heard versions of that rumor, and what it comes down to, from my understanding, is that basically Apple just figured out how to integrate multiple SoCs without having to have that bridge layer.
Yes. Okay.
And that's the easiest way to summarize it. Like what that actually means is still kind of hazy
nebulous
and questionable. Yeah. But my interpretation of the rumors is that with either the M3 or the M4, that transition will occur. Whether that's accurate or not, of course, we'll wait and see. But that's where those rumors come from. And I do think it's inevitable that they will address that hurdle. The biggest question I have, without knowing and understanding the actual physical architecture limitations, is that a hurdle that even needs addressing? Or is it just a change in how it's pressed and presented? Like, at a certain point, does that bridge even matter? Like, could you just take that bridge technology and put 4 M3 Ultras together, even though it may be ridiculously cost prohibitive? Like, does that bridge, for lack of a better phrasing, actually introduce any kind of issue, or is it just the refinements on cost of production?
That's good. I would love to. I can't wait to find out, but I don't ever expect to buy a Mac Pro. I go back and forth between being a notebook and a desktop person, and I'm currently in a notebook phase just because the Apple Silicon is so fucking good, and
honestly, if you're a portable person in general, there's no reason not to just live with a notebook. I mean, you can use it as a desktop if you want. It doesn't
get
matter.
a display. Get a good display. There's for even like power users, there's really not a there's there are there's less of a compelling reason to need a desktop.
Which is funny because I've actually considered the studio.
Well, but there is a that doesn't mean that there isn't a place for the studio, because the studio you can only get the Ultra in a desktop.
Well, and for me, it's more a matter of like I am predominantly a mobile workflow user. Like hands down, I will always be. That's just my preferred method of working. But I've recently gotten to a point where sometimes it would be nice to just do this one or two different things, again, related to video production, which I think is the only thing that kind of warrants this mentality in the first place at the moment. Maybe coding, but maybe not. Like I have arguments either way there.
I don't think so.
But like I have a specific use case and scenario where it would be nice to have a studio running with the external hard drives attached, where I never have to worry about plugging them up for various backup purposes. They're just always connected to this one machine, and this one machine is always on, and I never have to worry about replication because this one machine is doing it. Like it's more data preservation and backup strategy than it is anything else. So I could do it with a mini or like anything really, but my thought is if I had a studio running where I could default to that if I wanted to edit in my home office as opposed to mobile, then it would just be ready to go. Kind of makes sense. It's kind of a stretch, except for the external hard drive connectivity. Like that's the only thing that really is not a stretch. Because everything else I just do on the laptop. I'm good with it. I love it, and it works great.
I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit. I think it's not that much of a stretch to, like, because of the direction, like for video production, there's a good justification for having a desktop computer, because you can sit down, you've got more power, you're not using a device that is ever going to be power constrained. And the other thing is you can do work on it and let it go. Like you can, when you set up in, rendering times and coding things, you can let it do its thing, and then you've got your notebook computer for any of the other stuff. You want to go to, you need to do some work related to the business side of the business, or working on emails and that sort of thing. That and all of the mobile work that you do, it makes total sense to have a notebook, and it's not that far. I don't think it will be, I wouldn't think it would take too long to be able to justify a desktop.
I agree on principle, but the practicality of it is that I've adapted enough to a mobile device workload, with the phone being the quote unquote turnaround mobile, email, everything else device, that I don't know that I would actually see any improvement in workflow. It would legitimately just be a change in devices for the sake of screen size or something else that's not actually required for what I'm doing, as opposed to something that would be more or less capable. And in fairness, like I do want to bring back up that I did buy like the fucking top of the line mobile station, for lack of better phrasing, for the
Good
M2.
Point. Like, that is,
there is an element of my MacBook Pro is so ridiculously capable that it's easy for me to just set it up, let it do its thing, as far as if I need to walk away for anything rendering, which honestly, everything I've had to have render takes less than 10 minutes. It's ridiculously insane. But then I just grab either the iPad Pro or the phone and handle the other business aspects on either of those devices without any interruption. And that maintains a purely mobile workflow. And so it's difficult for me to decide that it's worth it to have a station set up at home with Studio, even though I see the benefits and I understand why I might want to. I can achieve the same thing with my current setup. And so it's kind of an odd place to be at. I think it would be a lot different if I hadn't opted for a fully loaded M2 MacBook Pro.
You're right. You're right. Because you got a Max, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
With 96 gigs of RAM. Like it's the only thing I did not max out with storage capacity.
Yeah. So that does take the justification away a little, but actually maybe more than a little. But I think right now nobody can justify a Mac Pro unless you for some reason want is it Promise Pegasus or Pegasus Promise?
I don't even know. Let me put it this way. The only people who can truly justify a Mac Pro are studios, like company entities who are buying it for multiple individuals to work on.
Yeah. Or someone who just wants to spend a bunch of money.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
not a justification. I guess it's just that's like I can do what I want.
Yeah. I would love to get to the point where I could put up a Mac Pro and justify it.
Yeah, that would be awesome, man. That'd be really awesome. My favorite Mac Pro was the one before the late 2013, and
was that the G4, the aluminum casing risers?
The G5.
G5. Yes, I forget that
Power Mac G5.
So I always go back to the G4. I forget that they released a G5 version because at that time the only thing that I paid attention to was the Xserve.
Yeah, your Quicksilver is a G4.
Yeah.
And then they did the G5, and that's where they went with that. And that's the one where they made that supercomputer in.
They did the G4 in that body as well, though.
They did not.
Yes, they did. Yeah, hold on. I got to look this up.
So because the original G4 came in the blue and graphite, and then the G3 was that Bondi blue, and that was the first one to use translucence. But I do think that there were some power PCs in the old beige plastic color that yellows over time, but the G3 was in the Bondi blue.
I could have swore they had a G4 in the aluminum, but no, I guess they didn't.
Well, they did do two color schemes with the G4. They had that original graphite and blue. And then they went to the Quicksilver, which is...
I remember all the different plastic ones, but I could have sworn when they made the transition to the aluminum case, they had the G4 in it, but no, they had the G5 at the time of the transition. Mm-hmm. I was thinking there was an intermediary step, and there was not.
Nope, there wasn't. And so they did the G5. They put it in that aluminum enclosure. They called the G. Man, all of the Mac Pro, all the tower names are I feel always degrading.
Yeah, cheese grater, Mac Pro.
No, it's a beautiful device. I mean, it's so cleverly engineered. It got better and better each revision. Because they had the Power Mac G5, and then it made the Intel transition in 2000. I think 2006, and then every version of it, because they did half a dozen versions before the late 2013, which is called the trash can. And the current Mac Pro doesn't. I have not heard any nickname for that.
I haven't either,
other than ultra fucking expensive. But it's honestly one of the most gorgeous computers. Like, I recently watched Professor Snazzy completely disassemble one. Like, took every component out that he could that you can. Like it like when you lift the enclosure off of it and to access all the internal components, there are two stainless, highly polished stainless steel, or for everything. There's a 4-post polished stainless steel frame. He took everything out of it so that it was just the frame. Anyway, it's a beautiful computer. It's just...
I think I know why I was thinking there was a G4. Like, that was actually bugging me enough. I had to go back and try to rack my brain. I think it's because of the transition to Intel during that time frame. Yeah. I was thinking it was G4, G5 Intel.
Yeah.
Like I remembered the transition, but
That makes sense.
I always wanted one of those. Really badly.
The
quote unquote cheese grater Mac Pro.
Yeah. I did too. I
never felt that strongly about the quote unquote trash can one.
I didn't either. But the thing that I really wanted to do with one of those Mac Pro, the original Mac Pro, was I wanted to fill it up with hard drives and make a RAID array.
Never too late. Never too late to follow your dreams.
I almost did it in 2020.
I know. I remember us talking a little bit about the one. Yeah.
I bought one, and somebody it wasn't. They advertised. I bought it on eBay. They advertised it as a Mac Pro 5,1, and it was a 4,1. So I was like, I sent it back, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I got too much stuff going on. I'm not going to do it. I will, and the reason I'm not going to do it is because, it's just at the end of the day, the OS doesn't support. There's so much that's it's unsupported. So much is unsupported, and really, what I want to use it for is to do things that I would do things with. I want to do things with it. I want to do stuff with computers, and that would be inhibit me. Whereas I do have this G4 iMac, but my plan is to just put some music on it and use iTunes because of the speakers. We have a number of different ways set up for you to get in touch with us to provide feedback, ask questions, or just comment in about something we've discussed.
You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at untitled_hosts, or shoot an email over to untitled.hosts@gmail.com.
Or get in touch directly with Jesse at jthart.com, or get in touch with me, John, via telepathy.
If you would like to support our work or are interested in listening to our new after show feed, head over to patreon.com/theUntitledPodcast and take a look at the options we have set up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed the show.
And we hope to connect with more of you as we continue this journey.
That's a wrap.